Hi, everybody. A decent angle up quickly, so apologize. Angled, it looks okay. I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about that. So this week, I thought an interesting topical thing would be to talk about the idea of burnout, but as somebody who's working from home. So let's see, what was it, 2 months ago? Time is kind of getting to be a strange concept these days, but yeah, I guess it was about 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, depending on where you are geographically, like the entire world shut down. And so everybody either got riffed or laid off or sent home to work from home. And that creates a weird enough dynamic because if you are one of the people that is temporarily or permanently jobless now, my heart goes out to you. Like, that's a horrible situation. If, on the other hand, you were sent to work from home, those of us doing that are kind of thinking, like, it could be worse. We should feel pretty good about this. So this video, anyway, is going to be kind of aimed at the people that are continuing to work, like who have jobs and are working from home. Because I feel like if you've been riffed or furloughed or what have you, the form of stress you're experiencing is probably a different thing than burnout. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but that is probably even more stressful, just a different thing that I can't really speak to. If, however, you are working from home, we did this video, I don't know, a month and a half ago saying, hey, a lot of you are probably very, very new to working from home. Let's talk about that. Here are some tips. This time around, what I'm going to do is talk about something that I've also experienced and is probably very, very new to a lot of you, which is, wow, I'm burned out working from home. And maybe you're thinking, like, what's wrong with me? That shouldn't be a thing. Because sort of the last 100 years of like Taylor-esque corporate management says, even though we're all adults, working from home is kind of a joke. Because, like, if you don't come into the office, how will anybody know that you're not just being lazy if you don't have a supervisor walking around with a clipboard whacking you on the back of the head? So everything was very presence-based. And thus there's this kind of idea of working from home that's like, yeah, you get up at 10, you watch some cartoons, have wine for lunch, and what could be better? Maybe you do a little work before you, I don't know, do your laundry. So there's this reputation that working from home would be, I guess, easy, or at the very least, it would cut out your commute, and there would be a lot to like about it. So this idea would be that maybe just in general, working from home was relaxing, relatively speaking, or comfortable. You can knock out errands at lunch, whatever. So you might be wondering, like, if I feel burned out right now, is that like insane, or is that something that's, it's very understandable. I've been working from home for years, and so here, I'll let you in on a secret. It doesn't get easier to work just because you're not in an office. It has a different dynamic, but you can definitely burn out working from home. In fact, there are ways that can happen that are sort of unique to being home. And oh, by the way, the fact that you're in this black swan global event that is putting an awful lot of stress on everybody is going to make it incredibly easy to burn out. First of all, you're working from home, and I don't know what the figures are these days in the country, but the layoff numbers are just staggering, the unemployment numbers. So you're working from home and you're probably thinking to yourself, I'd better work really, really hard to prove to the boss that I am doing my job, and if and when additional layoffs come, they should keep me around. So that's an unbelievable amount of pressure that you're already feeling. So day to day, you're probably wondering, is my job safe? Are we going to have some kind of company all hands where they announce that we're not a company anymore? Am I going to have some Zoom meeting where they have the hard conversation with me? Living with that day to day, my goodness, that is not easy. And so that kind of dovetails into the next thing that I'll talk about, which is if that is your reality and you're worried or that your company might go away or whatever, you are probably working pretty long hours. And when you're at home, there isn't that moment where you flip over and decide that it's time to dinner with your family. Instead, you can just work into the night. And, take it from me, I have a lot of bad years of bad habits doing this as a remote worker. It's really easy to do. So you might blink and realize that it's Friday and you've worked an 80-hour week. And I'm not exaggerating. If you kind of go to work at 8 in the morning, and then you find yourself working until bed, that can pile up to 80 hours before the weekend even hits. So if you find yourself doing that, or even a milder variation of that, that can lead to burnout. You might be working a lot more hours under a lot more stress than you're used to, even though you're doing it at home. And then I can speak to other things, not as an empathetic participant here, but like things that you might be going through that are hard for me to imagine. Like I don't have any kids. My wife and I work from home and we're used to doing that. If we were suddenly thrown in while also facing the pressure of homeschooling our children, or you out there that might have like difficult domestic situations and you're balancing that on top of trying to work, I can't even begin to imagine what that's like. So yeah, wow. I mean, that's pretty intense. And then layer on top of all of that, this sense that when will the economy return to normal? When will, maybe your job is okay, but maybe a lot of your clients are in retail or are in affected industries. And so maybe you are feeling this great sense of unease about when are things going to open back up so that our business can continue serving our clients. That lack of control is also enormously disconcerting. So usually in the world, you can control certain things. These days, you can control a lot fewer things than maybe you could have. As a business owner, I don't really have control about the fate of our clients. So it takes control over our top line revenue, over what's going on with the business, out of my hands in a way that I'm not used to. And whatever that looks like at your job, I imagine you're feeling that too, that lack of control that you used to have. And even though it might not readily seem like it, that's a source of burnout too. It puts you into a state of hypervigilance where you feel like you need to constantly monitor, is my performance looking good to people? What control do I have over these things? How can I exert it? How can I keep things on the right track? And that's super tiring. So all of that is no doubt combining to make you feel this sense of burnout. And then I imagine alongside of that, you're probably feeling guilt. Like, I still have a job, first of all. Secondly, I'm working from home. I'm here with my family. What is wrong with me that I feel like I'm burned out? Don't feel that way. Even without all this going on, I've felt, symptoms of burnout at times from a completely remote job. So it's real in the first place. And then you're going through all this really unusual stuff right now that, wow, like on top of the very real potential for this burnout in, by the way, a new style of working, you have this incredible amount of like weird external pressure. So if you are feeling that, it's normal, I assume, and it's completely understandable. So what do you do about it? I am admittedly not the best at giving advice. So a lot of this advice will be do as I say, not as I do. I kind of have always done the Churchill, I think it was Churchill that said, like, if you're going through hell, keep going. They kind of fought through burnout. I think psychological detriment, but in as much as I've tried to remedy it, some of my coping strategies and some that I've internalized that other people have said, this is easier said than done, but understand that a lot of things right now are out of your control. So working an hour day versus a 16-hour day is probably not going to be the difference maker between you continuing to be employed and not. So back away from that, understand that this is out of your control, and kind of, however you can, maybe become a little more zen about it and say, what's going to happen will happen. Killing myself isn't going to change that outcome. So that's one, and I've been trying to live by that a little bit. Another one is to set concrete boundaries. So kind of alongside of that, don't just say, I'm going to try like not to work super hard. Just say, whatever else happens come Friday night, that's it. And I'm not checking back until Monday morning. Set like actual boundaries like that, which can be harder to do at home than it otherwise would be. A big one that I found personally to help, it's kind of a micro optimization, but like exercise, assuming you're how all this works, but like I can still, here where we are in Michigan, go dog, and I found that to be like more therapeutic even these days than usual. It's kind of like almost like I'm out running all the crazy things that are happening. So that can alleviate, I guess, symptoms or feelings of burnout in the short term. And then maybe the one I'll close with is just to kind of reiterate this idea that you are almost certainly not alone going through it, and it's understandable. So don't feel guilty or bad. Just kind of like do your best. Don't read these memes out there that are saying that not only should you be working a full-time job from home, but like also learning a language, or I don't know, doing crafts or whatever people are doing on social media. Like, if you're just getting through the week, it's good stuff. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. We're all dealing with it. So do your best, and I will catch up to you next week with hopefully maybe a little bit more of an uplifting topic. But anyway, stay safe. Good luck with all of this, and you're doing great.